Alright guys, so this video and the sequential videos after it, the follow-up videos after it, are going to be about low voltage control for this particular setup I have now. Hopefully this helps somebody someday, but this really is unique in that I'm using one VFD to control multiple pieces of equipment. The caveat is that what I've learned online, and I'm not an expert, so I kind of wanted to do a how-to, but this is very much at your own risk. I know less about motor control and three-phase power than you probably do. So if you're watching this and you're a motor controls expert or you work with three-phase all day, you're going to find this very irritating. On the other hand, if you're trying to do something crazy like I did and use one VFD to power up a bunch of different pieces of equipment in your shop, know that you're going to size or you're going to program the VFD for your largest motor, and the rest of your motors are not going to have the same protection that would be offered by the VFD if it was set up for each particular motor. And so obviously this video, there's no implied anything. If you're watching and you do it, it's 100% on you. So I haven't been able to get out here in a while, which has been very frustrating, and you guys will see a fairly large gap on the channel also. I have the mill partially pulled apart. Last time I left off in here, I was getting fairly close to being sure that I could run the whole system on 110 single phase except the spindle motor. I haven't verified that yet, so it's got 220 that runs down into a relay, and I'm just not sure what that goes to. I haven't had time to trace it out, and I haven't been in the shop except to do some 3D scanning because I've been so busy with design work. So anyways, I'm going to get you guys off there. We're going to be doing low voltage, meaning that the controls for the mill and the lathe are going to come out of this machine, and I need a way to switch between controls, and I think I'm going to accomplish that through the ground. Or the common, whatever you would want to call it, that goes up into the VFD to tell it what machine's using it. I think I'm going to end up having to use some 12-volt relays to accomplish that, because I really want one switch control. I want to be able to use the switch on the front of the box here and control either machine. I don't want to have to turn two dials or any of that. Some of that is because I want to figure out if I can do it, and the more I learn, the better this goes next time, because I plan on building another box that's much more professional than this one. So this is kind of my tinkering box. Anyways, enough of that. We'll get you guys off there and show you what I bought. So one of the things that I found that was going to be integral to what I wanted to do are these, and they are RJ45 connectors. Now, I wish that I could pin them out in the middle there. Here, let's see if I can accomplish this. So they have pinouts. They have pinouts right here, but they're also connected between the two, and so any sort of switching is going to have to be done on this side going out to the VFD. I'm also probably going to make a jumper that jumps all three of these together and then come up to the VFD. You know, these are control wires right now for the lathe, and they just go out that hole. But eventually what I think I'm going to do is jump all three of these and then do my switching in here between the VFD and my RJ45 connectors. So I bought, along with that, I've got ends, I've got the tool to do it, I've got Cat 5 here, that blue stuff there I've got ran in another video. You guys can see that it's ran over to the lathe, which is over there. And then the other run is also going to come out over there, and it's going to go up and over to the mill. And then the last thing I need, and I actually need this today, so I'm going to jank this thing up. This is 3-phase general use power, and I haven't quite figured out how that's not going to work with this switch. So in the neutral position, it's probably going to be live. I haven't figured that out. I hate that I didn't plan this out, but I was so new to this whole thing. I wouldn't have done 110 volt control on the door anyways. I would have done 12 or 24 or something voltage. I would have dropped the voltage down and done all low voltage in the door. I bought these things right here, which is a bulkhead connector. Got all this stuff out of China off of AliExpress. Took a while to get here. And basically this is a bulkhead fitting that's then gonna come out right here and go into the bottom of one of these. It's gonna go in there, and I have a hole drilled. This is a 3/4 inch hole for conduit. It's a little big for this bulkhead connector, so I'm assuming that's some kind of metric China Wa stuff. So it looked more like 5/8, and so that's probably what I'll drill the next hole is 5/8. But anyways, I'm going to do a bunch of just getting this one outlet enabled because I need my table saw today. And my table saw is 3-phase, and I want to get the on-off switch working on the table saw through here instead of having to just turn the VFD on and the table saw is outside. So I'm going to do a bunch of crappy work right now, and then we'll clean it up later. All right, guys, so here is the setup so far. I have 3 or 4 wires coming in here. I've got 3-phase. We've got black, red, and white. And then I have a ground wire, and they all come up and terminate in this 3-phase distribution here. So we've got black, red, which I'm missing a red terminal block, and then white. It's labeled 3-phase. Comes in down there. One of the mistakes I made is this is way too close to the terminal blocks. And then, like I said, it's coming in down here, and then it's coming out here. Now, all I had was 10 gauge, so it's way too big for the plug. It's only a 20 amp plug, but it is what it is. It's what I've got. So it's kind of hard to push into the handy box that everybody hates so much. And so that's what we're doing there. What I'm going to run next is the low voltage in this box here, and that's going to go up here. It's going to tie into the low voltage control, which will be right here. And we'll explain that as we get further along. You can see my soldered connections there. So I'll explain that later. Still got one of these to install over here on the side of the cabinet, so we got to do that yet. Anyways, we'll get that going here, and we'll continue on with this install, getting this outlet for general use. Alright guys, so you can see that this is an outlet I bought from Lowe's, and it's able to be hooked up like this. That's number 1 low voltage. Tells the wiring type, which is T568B, and it's the control for the 3-phase outlet next to it. And it's going to go like that. And then this wire right here is going to plug in. It's going to plug in into that port right there. Oops, sorry guys. So that's my plug that runs down to my low voltage control. Now, like I said before, I'm going to switch the ground if I can. For right now, everything's tied together. All circuits are tied into each other, and I'll make the separated grounds more clear when we get to that. But it was just easier to wire it all up. I'll be able to check all of my continuity with everything tied together, and then I'll separate the grounds out afterwards. Alright guys, so it's been quite some time since I was out in the shop. We had Christmas, and I've had tons of design work, and so story of my life, haven't been out in the shop at all. However, the controls are done for the general outlet, three-phase general outlet. Still haven't figured out the ground switching, but for right now I've tied all three low voltage controls together, and I'm just going to make sure that when I'm using one piece of equipment, the other two Cat 5 connectors, RJ45 connectors, are not plugged in. So it'll be manual control for now, just like plugging in the extension cord. So in order to use a piece of equipment, I'll make sure that the Cat 5 is only plugged in for that equipment. So here's how the outlet looks right now. You've got the general use three-phase plug on the left, and obviously the low voltage control on the right. It's labeled as number 1 low voltage, and then I've got the wire coming up here and going into that, and then the other two bulkhead connectors are over here. And so these are going to be set up, I believe, as lathe and mill, and I'll have them labeled up above here so that I'll be able to tell them apart. Right now I have it set up where this is the position for the general use. That's the lathe, and number 1 is the mill. Now when 1 and 2 are on, the general use outlet is also on, but nothing's going to be connected to it. And all of this jankiness is in lieu of doing a brand new box where I'll be using relays or contactors to completely separate out each voltage supply for each piece of equipment. But this is just not how it worked out here. This is going to be fine. It's not like I have employees or you know, I'm doing something where other people are at risk. So yeah, so we'll kind of look at this. So what ended up happening is I have this entire system wired up a specific way. So I've got actually, I'm going to turn the box off here. So I've got black, red, which is obviously missing. I don't have enough of these, and then white. And the machine's tied up this way. So, or the VFD. So the VFD is wired black to U, red to V, and white to W. And that's the same way that those wires come into this routing here and then down to the common, or to the general use outlet down there. However, wouldn't you know it, and I've already wired it both ways before because of encountering this. I don't even know how to say it. So originally, this piece of equipment was wired correctly for how I have the box wired. With three-phase, you just switch 2 wires and it runs the other direction. Well, now the box is wired so that the lathe is forward right now, and I want all 3 pieces of equipment to run in their forward rotation the way that the box is wired. I hope this is making sense. Unfortunately, this motor, I wired it a different way before I had this box. Bullshit, a different VFD. And now it runs backwards in the forward position. Oh, I gotta show you guys that. So in this particular case, the forward color wire is orange and reverse is blue. The whole system is set up that way. Sorry. The whole system is set up that way. So orange is supposed to run all three of the machines forward, and blue low voltage is supposed to run all three of the machines in reverse. Green is ground. The lathe works that way. The table saw is wired backwards. So it's very simple, but it's something that drives me nuts and I'll have to fix it. So what I did over here is I actually have the blue wire wired to this switch so that when the blue wire is triggered, the VFD actually runs this machine in reverse. So blue runs things in reverse, orange runs them in forward, the way that I have the system wired. So because this stinking motor is wired backwards, or is wired the opposite way I want it to be, orange would run it in reverse, and this whole switch I have on here is just to connect up two wires. And I'm sure I've completely confused everybody, but I've got it wired up blue and green, which is reverse. So the VFD thinks it's running this in reverse. It's actually running it in forward until I get it all wired up correctly. It's super easy to switch, two little low voltage wires. So I'm going to get the cover on here, show you guys that, show you that it works, and we'll wrap up this particular part of the video. So hold on a little bit. Okay, so I've got a knee switch here so that when I'm running the table saw and something jams up, I can bump that with my knee. If you happen to have one of these old Deltas, the easiest way to mount that down where your knee's at is with a piece of plywood. I was going to try to get all fancy, and it turns out low tech is the easiest tech. And so, piece of plywood, there's two mounting holes right here. There's two mounting holes there. And then I have it low enough. Let me see if I can show this. Where I can just bump it with my knee, obviously. So, we'll get this party started. So we're going to arm the machine. Arms it, brings power in on this side of the contactor, and then we are going to power on the VFD. That powers it up, closes the contactor. Okay, the contactor's making all kinds of noise. Hopefully that's not a bad thing. Neutral position, so none of the other machines are being powered. And now we're gonna go over here and we are gonna turn this bad boy on. So as Diesel Creek would say, contact. Now, I don't have my ramp up and ramp down time set. I'm going to set them way shorter than that. I want it to be like, I don't know, 3 seconds. Gosh, that contactor's noisy. That doesn't mean it's going out. Anyways, works great. Gonna saw some wood and see how this thing works. I'm actually gonna I'm gonna rip some 2x4s the long direction. So I'm gonna split them on the 3.5 direction and make sure that VFD can handle it. Yeah, I haven't adjusted any parameters other than making sure it's at 60 hertz. So I don't even remember if I adjusted it for the lathe motor. I don't think I did. I think I just ran it. So anyways, we'll leave it here, and the next time you see me, we'll probably be working on the low voltage on that thing right there. Probably be doing some wiring on that thing, cleaning up the chip tray, all that good stuff. So anyways, as always, I hope this helps somebody. Talk to you guys later.